Okay, quick instruction video for your pool. First thing to note is you've got a saltwater pool. That doesn't mean that you're just swimming around in salt water. What that really means is that you put salt into the pool, and through your skimmer box over here, or from your little sucky machine, the water goes back to your pump, which will be somewhere else, and over there it runs it past an element which puts electricity into the salt and basically makes chlorine gas or chlorine and adds it to the water. So technically you've actually got a chlorine pool, but you're using salt to generate its own chlorine for the pool. So I'll show you what that looks like over here. So here we've got the pump unit, and you'll have a unit that looks something like this. This thing here actually generates the electricity and the salt, and in here there's a setting where you can say, oh, there's a timer in there. That's a timer for how often your pool runs, and that little dial there is how much salt we're going to put in. So basically how strong, you'd have it about 50%, how much chlorine, it's going to make from the salt. You have about 50% in the winter, but you'd ramp that up in the summer, because in the summer the sunshine kills chlorine. And I'll get to the chemicals later, but you'll need like a sunscreen to protect your chlorine that gets generated in Australia. So that's how it works. So let's go through the pump thing. So the bottom line is water comes through that pipe there, and it's pumped under pressure up through here and into the sand filter. We'll go through this in a second, the sand filter, and it comes out through there, and it has this is the little element that actually adds the chlorine from the salt water, adds that to it, and then it goes back, and I've got it goes into my my waterfall, but it basically goes back into the pool. So that's how all of that works. Now the actual pump filter itself, this big ball thing, I presume you're going to have one of those as a sand filter. So it's basically just pushing the water through the sand to actually filter it. You'll see here there's a gauge on top, and you want to make sure that it doesn't get anywhere near the red, really, because that means that your sand filter is getting blocked. So how do you clear this? Basically you would turn off your pump at the power. You turn this here, which should normally, when it's running, will normally be on filter, but you'll turn it, I would do this once a month. Turn it off over there, change it from filter to waste, turn it back on again at the power, and just run this for about maybe 2 or 3 minutes is all it needs. And what that's doing is it's backward flushing all the water through the sand and clearing it out, but it's also emptying your pool. So it's doing that for 2 or 3 minutes. So you're going to have to top your pool up after doing this process, maybe once a month. Then turn your power off again. So you basically never change this knob with the power on. Oh, that's my power just went off, or the timer. So you turn it off, and then you would switch this then to, after you've done waste, I would switch it to rinse, and run it, turn the power back on, run it again for a minute or two. That just clears all the pipes, any shit that's in the pipes. Turn it off again, come back on, and turn this back, come back over here, turn this back on to filter, and then turn it on, and you're away again. It's just going to run like that for next month or so on its own. And that's how you would backwash your pump. Just do it once a month. More so if you have leaves falling in your pool and things like that. But it's not a major job. You'll also then have to, what I do after I've done that, because you've ran that for a couple of minutes and let a little bit of water out of your pool, I just go and dump some water out of my tank here with a hose and just go and top my pool up again. You might lose an inch or two out of your pool once you run that thing, just for that little bit, for those few minutes. Okay, now chemicals. Because you've got a saltwater pool, see, I've got bags of salt here. I've actually got way too much of this. There was a bit of a shortage, so I bought a whole lot at one stage. Realistically, if your pool's not got leaves going in your pool and things like that, you'll probably only put maybe 2 bags of salt in your pool a year. That's just to give you an idea of what you do. And I'd probably do them 6 months apart, sort of thing. Make sure you stir the salt up on the bottom. Don't let it sit, or you'll end up yellowing your pool. So just I'd put it like a bucket in and stir it up, and then put another bucket in and stir it up. Just don't let it sit as a big pile on on the bottom of your pool. So that's your pool salt. Chemical to have that's quite handy is hydrochloric acid. I put that in from time to time, but I don't do it very often. I've just started recently getting my pool water tested down at the pool shop, and they say, yeah, put a bit of acid in, but my pool's been quite clear anyway, so I don't really know what it does, to be honest. This stuff here is called Pool Stabilizer. That's basically sunscreen, so you really only use a bit of that, and you put that into your into the box at the top where the water outlet is in the pool. That's a sunscreen. Protects your chlorine, so you'd only be using that in the summer. It just takes longer for the sunshine to break down the chlorine that's in your pool that's been generated from your salt. That's all that really does. So it's good though. You need it in Australia. There's so much sunshine. Buffer and things like that, you'll need some of that. That's basically just sodium bicarbonate like you have in the kitchen actually, so you can actually buy it cheaper at a supermarket than you can from a pool shop. But yeah, that's sort of your chemicals. A few other tips. There are such things as, I don't think I've got any here, but there are such things as chlorine tablets that normally sit inside this sort of thing. Try not to use chlorine tablets. Try and always use, if you have to put extra chlorine in your pool, use liquid chlorine or using your salt, obviously. But from time to time, you may need to put some actual chlorine in to really give it a hit. Don't ever use tablets because they have heavy metals in them. Oh, here they're here, actually. These things are a pain in the ass. They're good for a good emergency hit for chlorine for a pool, but they will leave metals and stuff in your pool which start to affect your concrete and stuff, which is a bit hard to clean. So I probably go down to my pool shop once, I don't know, every 2 or 3 months, and I just take 500 mils down and go, hey, can you test this? And they test it for free, and they normally come back and go, oh, look, you just need to put I don't know, 200 mils of hydrochloric acid in there. Other than that, everything's running fine. Or turn up your salt setting, you know, on that little dial I was showing you, or put a bag of salt in, or whatever it is, and it's a free service. So that should pretty much run your pool. The biggest trick for pools is keeping stuff out of them. Keep leaves out of them. Try not to use too much sunscreen in them. Things like that. And having a lighter coloured pool. Dark coloured pools are shocking for algae. I think Dave sent me a picture of your pool and it looked pretty light, so I don't think you can have that problem too much. So mine's as clear as you can see. It's just fantastic. So yeah, anyway, hope that helps. Just if you got any questions, I know that's a bit of a quick spiel, but it'll give you some guidelines anyway. Yeah. Oh, and you want to clean this basket out. I don't know. Again, it depends. I probably do mine once every 2 months because nothing ever goes in my pool. I don't have any leaves. I don't think I've ever had a leaf in my pool, so I'm quite lucky. If you've got trees around that drop leaves, get rid of the bloody things because they will make it harder for your pool. That's the real secret, I think. But yeah, I'll clean this out. There's a little net you can get to put around the basket, your skimmer box, your pool guy will better tell you about that. Like a stocking type thing. Makes it easy because you want to minimise how much of the stuff's going through here to that sand filter that I was showing you over there, and that'll make a big difference as well. So yeah, that's it really.